And we've been talking about these two concepts over the last few years, this idea of identity and this idea of culture. Identity is who we are. Culture is what we do. Culture isn't just the things that culture is the way that Erwin McManus describes it like this. He said, culture is the spontaneous recurring patterns. The things that you do without thinking, the things that come naturally to you because of who you are, because of your identity. Identity and culture. We've been reading a book, a couple of us together, by a guy. I'm not really sure what his faith journey exactly is. He writes mostly or pretty much exclusively to a secular market. He's known in the marketing world. He's written several books. This newest one is called This Is Marketing. He's written a book called Tribes. He's written another book. It's probably one of his first famous books is The Purple Cow. His name is Seth Godin. And there he coins this simple phrase. And we've been using this to talk about the movement of the church. And the phrase is, people like us do things like this. People like us do things like this. People like us do things like this. People like us, Tar Heel fans, do things like this. They act a certain way, don't they? Especially when they win. And so, people like us, we are Mac people or Apple people. People like us do things like this. We don't let you in our group text because you turn our text green, right? People like us do things like this. There are these patterns that happen because of who we are. And you put yourself in whatever group you put yourself in. If you're in whatever group you identify, whatever fam, whatever profession, people like us do things like this. And we've been talking about this over the last few weeks, that people like us are people whose identity is that as a child of the Father who has been redeemed in that relationship by the sacrifice of His Son, that Jesus came to make a way for us to be redeemed to the Father. People like us do things like this. We've got to start to understand and think about what that is and how this works together, because that's really where the ministry, that's really where the impact is going to happen. One of the things, to me, that I feel so privileged in terms of being a part of Port City is we've been here almost 20 years, and Port City has a really good reputation in our city and in our region, and that's due to a lot of reasons, a lot of grace, a lot of great people, a lot of reasons for that. But that's not just a privilege that we sort of share, that's a responsibility that we have in that as well. And so what I want to talk to us about over the next few days is how it is that we leverage this. And I've had this conversation with so many people over the last few years, seeing how God is using people in our church, like Laurel, and I could give you name after name after name, who are doing this, who are seeing themselves as the church, instead of just waiting and saying, hey, where are we going to invite someone to this series or this teaching or this program, we start to realize that the church is actually right where I am. The church is now everywhere that I go. And I want you to hear what Jesus has actually said to us, to me, and to you in this.